Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this mad world that we're in. New job numbers have came out, and guess what? It ain't looking good.
Announced corporate job cuts, Andrew, in the U.S. surging past 1 million so far this year, with 153,000 new layoffs announced just in October, according to Challenger. That is the worst October since 2003. Here are the numbers. October up 153. That compares with September. That's 100,000 more than September and 100,000 more than this time last year in October 2024. Andy Challenger commenting, some industries are correcting after the hiring boom of the pandemic, but this comes as AI adoption, softening consumer and corporate spending, and rising costs drive belt tightening and hiring freezes. Announced layoffs don't always lead to actual cuts and could take place from attrition, but the report puts in perspective what we've been reporting here day after day, week after week. Series of marquee announcements unveiled in recent weeks across U.S. industries, including UPS, Amazon, Target, among others, Paramount, Rivian, all these companies there. Government has been responsible year to date for 308,000. But look at that, tech 141. That could be where you see a lot of the AI, maybe some in warehousing, but a big chunk of that's going to be UPS, as well as potentially some hit from reduced flows of trade. Retail's up there, as is services at 64,000. You take out the Doge cuts, the number's a bit better at 800,000, but still well above last year. Challenger doesn't see much in the way of hiring, saying announced plans are 35% below last year, and they're skeptical about the number of new hires for the holiday season. For some on the Fed, this data, together with other reports, could be the sign they're looking for of job weaknesses about whether to cut in December.
All right, so we've entered the new era. We've entered the era of there just isn't enough jobs to go around. We've blown past the economy is softening, and now we're at the, oh, look, we've lost 1 million jobs this year. Let that sink in. The new jobs report came out and said that we've lost 153,000 jobs in the month of October, the worst month in over 20 years. That brings the total number of jobs lost in this country to 1.1 million. That is 63% more than we saw last year. You can talk about the hiring boom post-pandemic, but those should have just been the jobs where people got laid off because of the pandemic. So that should have brought us back into even. Listen, it wasn't any kind of boom. It was just people getting their jobs back. But when we look at right now, with the 1.1 million jobs lost this year, number one, they say it's cost cutting. Number two, they say it's AI. But these things go together, of course, because AI is used to cut costs, and there's no better way to cut costs than by laying people off. Your company is going to make a boatload of money if you go ahead and get rid of your employees and just pocket the salaries that you should have paid them. And that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing it celebrated all over mainstream media as these CEOs continue to go on with their fake veneer smiles, talking about how they're streamlining operations at their business. But what that means by they're streamlining, getting rid of all those people who accumulated $150,000 in student loan debt because 5 years ago you told them that the future is going to need software developers, that the future is going to need coders. But now some dude in Mumbai can do that with ChatGPT. So there isn't a need for that kind of education anymore because the grim reaper of AI is just kind of tearing through the job market in the tech industry right now. But in general, it's all changed, and AI is, like I said, just showing up at the HR department and said, hey, I'll take it from here. And this is where you see the death of the middle class right now, the death of the corporate job. The white collar jobs are just going out the window. They're disappearing. They're being deleted. You know, that desk job with growth potential, the 401k, the annual review, the benefits. Those things were built for a world that needed you. Those things were built for a world that needed middle management. They were built for a time where you needed somebody who could use Excel or somebody who could talk about synergy or deliverables. But the truth is, that world is over. Major tech and warehouse firms are cutting jobs by the thousands. In October, the tech firms announced 33,000 layoffs. That's in October alone. Retail's tanking because nobody has any money. People can't afford food. People can't afford the healthcare. So people aren't going to go out and buy what used to be a necessity, but now is a luxury because they just can't afford it. So that means that retail has lost 88,000 jobs. That's 145% higher than last year. So we've had these massive revisions that have been coming down, saying that from April of 2024 to March of 2025, we've seen over 900,000 fewer jobs created than we actually thought we had. So we've been in this job market crisis for much longer than we thought. We can talk about Trump, we can talk about this administration, but the thing is, the entire economy, our country, has been in a steep decline for quite some time now. And people are really just kind of starting to notice, honestly. So what's the takeaway from all this? The pillar of job security has just collapsed. That entire narrative that we've been taught, that you do good in school, you go to college, you get a job, you climb the ladder, you buy a house, that's been dismantled. And I mean that it's been dismantled. But what does the future hold for the people? Because that's what we need to ask ourselves next. If middle management jobs and white collar jobs are gone, what's the next thing we can do? We're all just going to have to become plumbers, I guess, because that's what I keep being told, is that America's in a blue collar boom, and that's what everyone needs to hop over to. So guess what? We're all going to become plumbers now. Because when the corporate ladder disappears, the only thing that is left is the trades, because AI is not going to show up and snake my toilet. I'm someone who's worked blue collar most of my life, whether it was digging ditches, operating machinery, loading trucks, running warehouses, right? I'm a blue collar guy. I'm white collar now, but that's probably going to disappear, and I'm going to have to go back to running a bulldozer somewhere. That real hands-on work, that real you gotta fix it work. Real fixes, real water, real pipes, real plumbing. No chat about brand alignment or stakeholder value. All that is out the window. So that guy who used to sit at a cubicle doing marketing reports, he's gonna show up in an unmarked van at your house talking about how I used to be a brand manager and now I fix drains. That's gonna be the common American story now, as we have this nice transition of employment. That associate who used to work in human resources is going to show up telling you that your sewage line's backed up and you owe them $350. And honestly, it's good or bad, because maybe the days of, company dinners at Chili's, 10 a.m. meetings, morale boosting, Tuesday morning don't off yourself pizza parties, maybe those days are gone. And maybe it'll be much simpler and better that way. Just be like, does this hose need replacing? That'll be $450. That's the world we live in now. And it'll be okay until the market is oversaturated by plumbers and electricians. It'll be good for a while, because AI is not going to clear a backed up pipe, maybe at some point in the future, but not in the foreseeable future. You can't automate a clogged pipe quite like you can a middle manager's job. But back to the stats, because that's what's important. Numbers don't really lie so much. This week's numbers showed not only jobs being cut, but jobs that were never even created. Job openings are weak. The revisions show massive over-optimism, and the whole narrative of a tight job market is just unraveling. It's not a hiccup anymore in the economy. It's become a structural flaw for the past couple years. And for the corporate middle class, they're going to wake up and realize that they're the last generation of the corporate middle class. It's going away. Right? It's their legacy. It's their alumni status. Because everybody else from here on out is just going to be in the trenches, baby. Like I said, it's tool belts and Yeti coolers from here on out. We're going to be getting dirty. We're going to start fixing things. And finally, maybe that's good, because the American people have become so soft and so dependent on a very streamlined, easy life that maybe it's a good thing that a lot of people go out there and get into the trades. I'm not against it. Like I said, I've been blue collar my entire life. I think that one of the biggest cultural mistakes that we've made is shaming those who chose to go into the trades instead of going to college. But like I said, in the end, it's going to cause trouble, because not everybody can become a plumber. Not everyone can become an electrician. Not everyone can run heavy machinery. It's just not something that everyone can do, because again, these jobs are finite. And guess what? We're not building as much anymore. So a lot of these construction jobs, they're just not going to be needed. We're not building homes like we used to, because there's no demand for the homes, because nobody can afford the homes. The only homes that are going up right now serve the needs of the wealthy, because the luxury market is booming while the budget market is dying. But that's where we are. And America is now the plumber nation. And while you may have climbed the ladder once, now you're just getting into the unmarked van, and you're going to stop at the Circle K and get a roller dog before you get to the job site. But at least you'll learn a few skills, before the apocalypse comes because this dystopia is just driving us into it super fast. But God bless the United States, the land of the free, where your biggest aspiration now is fixing your neighbor's toilet. If you're still here at this point, ladies and gentlemen, like and subscribe, think about becoming a member. Job market thing is getting pretty wild. It's getting pretty wild, and people are getting pretty desperate. And we can laugh about it, and we can make jokes, of course. And I think that that's an important thing to do. You have to have levity, you have to have gallows humor during dark times, or you're going to lose your mind. But these numbers aren't good, ladies and gentlemen. A million jobs disappearing during a cost of living crisis, especially going into the holiday season, where all these corporations and companies are expecting a lot of sales to be made and a lot of profits to come in. And when those profits aren't going to be there, they're going to do what they've made a lot of money off of the past couple of years, which is going to be laying more people off, streamlining business even more. And in the K-shaped recovery, the people have kind of bottomed out at this point. So we can laugh about it all we want, and we can make light about it, but it is a very dark situation that America's in right now. And we need to ask ourselves what America actually looks like when there aren't enough jobs to go around. Because that's what we're getting to right now, if we're not there already. When you already have reports of people who are unemployed for 6 months, a year, over a year. It's normal now for me to hear that people haven't been able to find a job, at least a job that pays the same of what they used to get paid, that they're sitting on the sidelines applying for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs for more than a year. It's common. And people are going to be tapped out because of this. But if you look at the stock for credit card companies right now, what's happening to them over the past year? It's actually been in decline because people aren't making their payments because delinquencies are higher than they've been in living memory. People just can't pay these things anymore, so they have to make the hard choices. And for most people, the hard choices aren't going to be making the minimum payment on a Visa card. It's going to be making sure that they can eat, that their cat can eat, that their kid can eat. Not in that order, maybe in that order. But we are in a pivotal time in America, and we're all here in it together, and that's what's important. So stick together. Go to the food bank. If you have the money to donate to a food bank, go. We're going to make a video of us donating to a local food bank here, and hopefully I can talk to some of them, and they're not just like, hey, get this crazy guy out of here. Hopefully they have some things to say, because I know that food banks are getting really stretched thin, and we're going to see what we can do. But as always, if you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member. Leave a donation. Go ahead and hype the video. Leave a comment. It really helps out the algorithm. Really interesting time for the channel. Really interesting time for the country. And we're all in it together. So any questions, throw it down there. But other than that, hey, it's Friday. We made it through another work week. Go to the dispensary. Go to the liquor store. Do what you have to do. Be constructive or numb the pain. Whatever is best for you in the moment, I guess. But hey, we love you guys as always. I hope you have a good one.